Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Headbanger's Closet. Your old pal Brett here. Hope everyone's doing well today. This video, I'm going to talk about Motley Crue. Mainly, I'm going to talk about my favorite deep cuts from Motley Crue's like classic records. I've also got a couple of like greatest hits type of compilations that I got, like late 90s into throughout the 2000s. But mainly, I'm only going to talk about the classic first 5 records from Motley Crue. I was kind of inspired to do this video because I just went and saw Motley Crue in Atlanta this past Wednesday. I had a blast, dude. So much fun. I'll tell you guys a little about the show in a minute, but my birthday's next week. My wife had asked me a while back, like, what do you want to do for your birthday? Last year when I turned 50, I really didn't do anything. There was really nothing I wanted to do, and she kind of felt bad because, 50 is a big deal for a guy, I guess. I didn't really give a shit, but she said, yeah, 50 is a big milestone birthday, and I didn't do anything. I think we just went out to dinner, had some cake, and then I went fishing for like an hour. But so this year, she's like, hey, let's do something for your birthday. And I was like, oh, you know what? Motley Crue's coming around the week before my birthday. I'd like to go to that. And her face was like... Now, my wife is an awesome woman, all right, but she does not like heavy metal. If we went out together and I was wearing this t-shirt, she'd probably just do like the big eye roll. She does the eye roll now. We've been together for like 17 years. In the beginning, she was like, really? Like, you gonna wear that? Like, you can wear that? Like, the Motley Crue shirt's honestly not that bad. But like a Slayer shirt or like something else where those like demons or skulls or gore on the shirt, she'd be like, all right, can you change? Upside down crosses, the Merciful Fate shirts and stuff like that. She's like, can you change? She does not like heavy metal, but she was excited to. She knew how much I liked Motley Crue. She knew that from me telling her the story, that they were the first heavy metal band I ever heard. They were the first like favorite band I had, and she knew I hadn't seen them in a while. They've been a couple of tours where they've come to Atlanta and I missed them. And I haven't seen them with John 5 at all. It's been a while. So I think maybe like 10, 15 years ago, they came to town. They did like a Too Fast for Love heavy set. Great. Just all 4 original members. I've seen the band a handful of times. Only one time it wasn't all 4 original members. It was one time where Tommy Lee wasn't in the band. It was before I even moved to Georgia. This was maybe like 99 or 2000 summer, and it was the drummer from the band Hole, young lady, was filling in the drums. They sounded great, but every other time since then I've seen them with all 4 original members. So I was like, I really want to go, and she's like, all right, I'll look for tickets. So she went on a secondary like ticket site and picked them up for like $40 each, less than face value. I don't know what that person was thinking, because we actually had seats, not the front where like it's just general admission where you stand, and then the seats. It was like the next section of seats, dead freaking center, and we got the tickets for like $105, which isn't bad. Anyway, great time. So she agreed to get the tickets for me, even though she does not like heavy metal at all. She's always like, oh my goodness, the people I'm going to see at this concert, and she was trying to like say, I'm going to see people like as old as my dad, and I'm like, I'm old, like my age. It's just, yeah, but people older than you, and they're just gonna just look terrible, and there's gonna be so much weed, and I was get at my people, but so she was kind of like apprehensive about it, but she was excited to spend quality time with me, and she knew how much I was looking forward to going. So we went, and we get in. Extreme was pretty cool. I thought Gary Sharon's vocals weren't that great, but they played well. All right, they're not gonna bark. Nobody's there. So anyway, they did More Than Words. It was like a cappella, like the whole crowd was singing, and it wasn't really filled up at that point. But the whole crowd, people in the concourses were singing along too. It was pretty cool. Tesla was awesome. I'm not really the biggest Tesla fan. I dig Love Song and Modern Day Cowboy, Little Susie, and tunes like that, which they played all of those songs. But they sounded amazing. Sounded really, really good. I mean, like, they gave Motley Crue a run for their money. I think Tesla sounded probably, if I'm being honest, better than Motley Crue did. But they played all the hits. They opened up with Modern Day Cowboy, which I thought was weird, because to me that's like their best banger of a tune. But they played all the hits, man. Little Susie sounded great. Hang Tough, Signs, they closed the show with. Love Song, crowd went bananas. They played really, really well. And they were just a lot of people in the seats just standing up, just going nuts, singing every tune, like headbanging, dancing around. I was like, I didn't realize Tesla was like that huge, that massively popular, but I guess they were. I was never like a huge fan back in the day. But, Motley Crue comes on next, and they played awesome. I'm not going to go through the set list. I'll talk about those songs when I go through the albums. But they sounded great. So I've never seen him with John 5, and not like I dislike the guy. I was just like, whatever, it is what it is. But he sounded really good. Like his guitar, especially on the songs from the first 3 records, was really heavy, just really crisp and clean. Just those riffs he was playing was really good. Kind of brought a little bit of a youthful enthusiasm to the band. He's kind of moving around quite a bit, and kind of got all 3 of the other guys kind of super excited, it seemed to me, feeding off his energy. But I thought he sounded great. Vince sounded amazing. I was prepared. I had seen the videos. I had seen everything on Facebook and online about how bad he is, and I had seen him the last few tours when he kind of went downhill. I think the last time I saw him, he did kind of do the thing where he'd sing a couple words and then skip a word, or let the crowd sing half the line, the song. There wasn't really much of that. There was some crowd participation with looks that kill. She got the looks that kill. She's got letting the crowd, but he sang. A good buddy of mine, Jason, we were talking about. He sent me a long video, and he's like, it was breaking down how bad Vince is and what to look for, because the guy doing the video thinks that it's all pre-recorded vocals and Vince is just lip syncing. So I tried to see that. I was watching Vince on the monitors, the big jumbo screens there, and watching while he's supposed to be singing to see if his mouth was closed or maybe it wasn't matching. And I didn't see any of that. And you could tell there was one part where he started to laugh, and all the other guys in the band started to laugh too, and it wasn't really a mistake. I think something caught his attention in the crowd, in mid singing he started to laugh, and it was the same volume and pitch and everything as the lyrics. So I'm like, okay, that's authentic. At least he's singing that part of the song into the microphone authentically. But I thought they played amazing. They sounded great. I had such a good time. My wife knew some songs from the first 2 bands, and she works out at a gym, and they play a couple of Motley Crue songs while they do their workout. So she knew those tunes, and she sang along a little bit. Most of the time, she kind of sat there, she stood the whole time. Give her credit for that. I think she just liked watching me go crazy, air guitar and headbang and singing along. I was looking, I was like, every now and again, give the devil horns. If you don't know what to do, just every now and again, it's yeah, devil horns, And she laughed. But I think she had a good time. But not as good as me, obviously. So anyway, let's get right to it. I'm 7 minutes in. I haven't even started yet. So thanks for listening to me rant. But let's get to it. First album, Too Fast for Love, the debut. My favorite deep cuts on the album. Now, I do not have a version of this on physical media with the bonus tracks, which is Black Widow, Twilight, Stick to Your Guns, and Toast to the Town. So I'm going to say Stick to Your Guns and Toast to the Town I will include as my favorite deep cuts off this album. And then I would have to go On With the Show, Easy. I think that's a great tune. I've heard them play a lot of songs off this record, so it's kind of hard. But for me, deep cut, On With the Show, love that tune. I'm going to have to go Piece of Your Action and Take Me to the Top. Now, they did play Take Me to the Top the other night. Sounded awesome. But I think that's a really great deep cut off this album. So those are my deep cuts from Too Fast for Love. Moving along to the second album, 1983's Shout at the Devil. And before I get into them, just kind of quick, how I became a Motley Crue fan, how I became a metal fan. So when I was little, 1983, I was in the 2nd grade. I was, 7, maybe 8 years old. And I was listening to the music my mom liked. In the car, she had the tape deck. And it was ABBA, which is still pretty cool. I like ABBA still to this day. Barbra Streisand, Air Supply, Rod Stewart, the Beatles, bands like that. So we would listen to what she liked. So I go to school one day. I was in a Catholic school. It was a K through 8, and I went through K through 5. But I was in 2nd grade, and we go to the school. And before the school starts that day, you're all out. Everyone's out in the playground. All the grades are mixed in the playground. The bell rings. Everybody gets in line, and then you go in single file by grade. Kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and on to 8th. You go in the building. So everyone's out there before school starts, and I walk over. I always played football. I love football, and I always played football with kids that I knew, and ball went over by these picnic tables, and I went over to get it, and there was a kid, some older kids, 6th, 7th, 8th grades, milling around, and one kid had a boombox. His name was Andy, and the music was coming out of the boombox. It was like nothing I've ever heard before. This guitar riff was absolutely amazing. I loved it. I went over to him, had the football in my hand. I went over to him, and I was like, hey, man, I didn't say, hey, man. I was like, hey, dude. Andy, what song is it? What band is it? He pointed to it. He had a hat, and this was the hat. It was Motley Crue, the Pentagram, and Shout the Devil. He says, this is Motley Crue. And he showed me the cassette tape, and I saw the guys, what they looked like. This is my OG right here, the gatefold. So this is basically the front of the cassette tape. And I looked at him, and I was like, holy crap. I don't think I'm supposed to be looking at this. I'm in Catholic school. This seems bad. I like it. The Pentagram seems bad. I like it. So I liked Motley Crue, and went home and told my mom, and some point went to the store with her with my allowance, and I bought the cassette tape. And at some point after that, I think when I went and saw my dad, I picked up the album. But shortly after discovering the band on the playground, which I would sit with them the rest of that year and listen to Motley Crue on the cassette tape. And at some point after that, my town got cable TV, so I was able to see the videos for Looks That Kill and Too Young to Fall in Love. So, getting to the deep tracks. On this one, I'm going to go with Danger. Love the gang vocals on the chorus. Think it sounds absolutely amazing. Really dig that. They're all like, Danger. Thought it was awesome. I really dig 10 Seconds to Love. Red Hot, which they opened the show with the other night, which I thought was awesome. I don't go look at a set list before I go to see a concert. I kind of like to be surprised. So when they start playing something, I'm like, oh, that song's awesome. I love that tune. And I don't know what's coming. And then I would have to probably go with my all-time favorite Motley Crue tune, Knock 'Em Dead Kid. So Knock 'Em Dead Kid, 10 Seconds to Love, Red Hot, and Danger, my favorite deep cuts off Shout the Devil. Next we have 85's Theater of Pain, the album the band does not like, that I love. I've done a video on this before, how much I really like the album. And coincidentally, that video was when I first got my first negative comment was like, that album sucks, Motley Crue sucks, and you suck for liking that album. Your shirt sucks, your Metallica both just suck. And I was, thanks for commenting. It helps the algorithm, I guess. But I dig this record. I've said it before, I like mixed guitar tone. Other people don't. I think it's cool. I also kind of like the, I liked up until Girls. I didn't buy the leather and the scarves and all that, but I kind of dug the outfits, whatever. Nikki Sixx's polka dots and the matching bass. But anyway, favorite deep cuts off this album for me are going to be Tonight We Need a Lover and Use It or Lose It, followed by Keep Your Eye on the Money. I dig those tunes. They didn't play any of those songs at the show. They did Home Sweet Home, Smoking in the Boys' Room, and Louder Than Hell, which was cool. I don't think I've heard that one before. But yeah, excellent record. Those are my favorite deep cuts. Keep Your Eye on the Money, Tonight We Need a Lover, and Use It or Lose It. Next we have 1987's Girls. Kind of interesting fact about the video Girls. I was not allowed to watch it. I think my mom came in the living room one day watching me watch that video and was like, yeah, you can't watch this anymore. I was in the 6th grade when this album came out. Anyway, favorite tunes off this record here are going to be All in the Name of and Something for Nothing. Love Wild Side. One of my all-time favorite Motley Crue songs, Girls, is really good as well. Overall, though, I'm not a big fan of this record. Dancing on Glass, all right. Bad Boy Boogie's okay. 5 Years Dead's all right. I don't like You're All I Need, the ballad. Jailhouse Rock live is pretty cool on this, but definitely the best songs, or not best songs, but best favorite deep cuts are Something for Nothing and All in the Name of. And the last of the Motley Crue classic Crue with Vince Neil albums, 1990's Dr. Feelgood. Kind of hard to pick deep cuts off this album because every freaking song was basically released as a single. But I'm going to have to go with Rattlesnake Shake and She Goes Down. And I like She Goes Down. I like the guitar on it, but I think it's cool. It's the guy from Cinderella does a verse on this song, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the dude from Cinderella, Tom Kiefer. Could be wrong there. Somebody let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, those are the two deep tracks on this album that I like. My least favorite Motley Crue record, which is weird because it's their most successful. But Kickstart My Heart's awesome. Could kind of do without some of the tunes on the record. In my opinion, Slice Your Pie is all right, I guess. Don't Go Away Mad's pretty cool. Same old situation. I like that tune. But yeah, definitely my least favorite Motley Crue album. So there you have it. Those are the classic albums. Couple of other stuff real quick. New Tattoo favorite songs, or favorite songs and favorite deep cuts, because they're my favorite songs on the album. But let's face facts, I think everything on this album is going to be a deep cut, really. Hell on High Heels and Punched in the Teeth by Love, I think those songs are pretty cool. This album's alright. I think it's one of the better ones they did when Vince kind of rejoined the band. I don't have Saints of Los Angeles, like their last full album, but the song Down to Whiskey is really, really good. Really underrated tune, deep cut in my opinion. Just kind of about their early years playing the Sunset Strip in LA. Then I've got a couple of like greatest hits. I've got Red, White, and Crue. I would get, and I don't know when I got this, but Bitter Pill is pretty cool. And Afraid. They played Afraid the other night, and everybody kind of sat down. They did Primal Scream, and I was like, all right, piss break and get another beer. I dig Primal Scream, and I was like, I can miss it. And then when I got back, they started Afraid, so like there were two, weaker songs in the set list were back to back, and that was it basically. Everything else was from the 5 classic albums. And last but not least, the Decade of Decadence CD. I'm gonna have to go with Anarchy in the UK, which sounds really cool. And then another kind of good deep cut is Angela. I don't know what album that even came from. I don't remember, but I think that's a pretty cool tune. Kind of like rocking in, not a ballad. You think the name Angela's a ballad, but it's not. It's kind of like rocking upbeat tune. But that one and Anarchy in the UK close out the CD here. So yeah, that's it. I've got some other greatest hits albums on vinyl I've showed before, but they all cover all these tunes. So yeah, man, there you have it. Those are my favorite deep cuts from Motley Crue, my first ever favorite band, my first favorite heavy metal band. Wasn't until I discovered thrash and they stopped being my favorite band. But I listen to Motley Crue all the time. I still love them. I don't care what people call me in the comments. I still love the band. I think they're awesome. And they got a lot of shows left on the tour. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I got tickets for under face value, man. You can find them on the secondary market. Check it out, man. If you just want to go sit in the lawn, I promise you it's worth the money to go check them out. They sound really, really good. And like I said, Tesla's awesome as well. Extreme did their thing. They're all right. They got a couple of good tunes. But yeah, Tesla was really, really good. And Motley Crue was awesome as well. Definitely, if you can make it, go check it out. But you go get your tickets on the secondary market. Don't pay face value because the tickets are stupid prices. So anyway, if you guys want to talk Motley Crue, I'm all for it. Leave me a comment below. Discuss any of these songs, any songs you think I may have missed that you think is a deep cut, anything about the band at all you want to talk about. Even some negative comments, because I like Motley Crue. Leave them down below. And like I said, always, guys, I appreciate you guys checking out my channel. And I'll have another video very soon. Cheers, everybody. Enjoy your weekend.